My name is Max. I was 5 years old back then. I live in a cold place called Helsinki, in Finland, with my mommy, my daddy, and my baby sister Lily. We live in a small yellow house on a quiet street with lots of trees and big dark windows. One day, something really scary happened. It was winter, and the sky turned dark very early. Mommy made me and Lily some hot cocoa. We were watching cartoons while snow fell outside like little white ghosts. Suddenly, the power went out. Everything went black. The TV turned off. The lights went out. The house got super quiet. Mommy lit a candle. Its orange glow made the walls flicker like they were moving. I didn't like the dark. I hugged Lily tight. "Don't worry," Mommy said. "The lights will come back soon." Then I looked out the window. That's when I saw it. Across the street was Mrs. Karina's house. She's an old lady who smiles a lot. She wasn't home. Mommy told me earlier she had gone to visit her son in another town. The house was supposed to be empty, but I saw something move in her upstairs window. I rubbed my eyes, and I saw it again. A shadow. Tall. Still. Standing in the window. It didn't move. It didn't wave. It just stood there, looking right at me. "Mommy," I whispered. "There's someone in Mrs. Karina's window." Mommy looked. The shadow was gone. "There's nothing there, sweetheart," she said. "Her house is empty, remember?" But I knew what I saw. Later, when I was brushing my teeth, I peeked out the bathroom window. The shadow was back, but this time, it was on the first floor. I dropped my toothbrush and screamed. Mommy and Daddy came running. "What happened?" Daddy shouted. "I saw it again!" I cried. "The shadow! In her house!" Daddy looked out. Nothing. "Maybe it was just your imagination," he said, tucking me into bed. But I couldn't sleep. The wind howled outside like a monster breathing. I kept hearing taps on the window, like someone was knocking with long, sharp fingers. Then I heard it. Creak. Creak. Like slow, heavy footsteps. I sat up and held Lily's teddy bear. My window had frost on it, but someone, or something, was wiping it away from the outside. A face looked in. Not a person. Its eyes were black. Its mouth was wide. Too wide. I screamed as loud as I could. Mommy ran in. I pointed at the window. "It's there! It's looking at me!" She turned on the light. Nothing. "Max, you had a nightmare," she said softly. "There's nothing outside." But I knew what I saw. The next morning, Mommy went across the street to check on Mrs. Karina's house. The front door was locked, but the snow told a different story. Footprints, leading from the woods to her back door, then disappearing into the trees again. Mommy called the police. They came with flashlights and walked through the snow. One of the officers looked up at the second-floor window. He froze, then said, "There's something written on the glass." They went inside. The shadow was gone, but on the frosted window, drawn with a finger from inside, were 4 words. "I see you." I cried and held onto Mommy so tight I thought I'd never let go. The police searched the house. Nobody was there. No sign of a break-in. But those words were real. And the footprints? The officer said they were too long for any normal man. Mommy doesn't let me look out the windows anymore when it's dark. And sometimes, even now when I wake up late at night, I think I see something standing behind the glass across the street. Not moving. Just watching. Hi there. My name is Ely, and I'm going to tell you something that really happened to me. It's a story that makes my tummy feel twisty every time I think about it. So get cozy and listen close. But don't forget to look over your shoulder, just in case. It was a cool fall night in New York City, and the trees in Central Park were shaking with the wind. I was only a little older than you are now, but still too young to have a car. My mommy dropped me off at my best friend Sally's house. She lives close to the park, and we were going to have a fun night with our friends. We laughed, we played games, and we even told some spooky stories under Sally's twinkly backyard lights. There was Sally, me, and our other friends Penny, Lila, and Toby. Everything was going great until some boys showed up. One of them made me feel yucky inside, and I didn't want to be around him, so I told Sally I was going to go home early. Mommy had gone out to dinner, and she told me earlier, if I'm not home yet, just walk home. It's close. So that's what I did. I put on my jacket, zipped it all the way up, and started walking past the trees, past the squirrels, and past the quiet streets. But then, I heard something. Step, step, step. At first I thought it was just my shoes, but when I stopped walking, the sound kept going. Step, step, step. I looked behind me. A man was there. He wore a dark hoodie, and his face had a big, weird smile. He said, "Hi there. How are you doing?" I just whispered, "Hi," and turned away quickly. My heart was beating like a drum. Boom, 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 boom. I walked faster, but guess what? He kept following me. Every turn I made, he turned too. Every corner I passed, he was there. I texted Sally and said, "I think someone's following me." Then the man said, "Isn't it a lovely night?" I nodded. My lips felt frozen. I wanted to run, but I didn't want him to know I was scared. He got closer, and then he said something that made me feel like a shadow had covered the moon. He whispered, "You live by the elementary school, right?" How did he know that? I stopped. He stopped too. His smile looked evil now, like something a monster would wear on Halloween. I screamed, "Leave me alone!" Then I ran. I ran as fast as I could. I ran past the trees, past the gates, past the benches. I screamed, "Help! Help! Please help me!" So loud that lights in people's houses turned on. He chased me and yelled, "Shut up, you little!" But then he saw people waking up. He turned and ran away into the night like a bad dream. A nice couple opened their door. I cried and told them, a stranger tried to take me. They stayed with me until my friend Toby came in a car to take me home. I was safe, but I was still very scared. I thought the story was over, but it wasn't. That night, Toby stayed with me at my house. We were just talking when we heard step, step, step outside. My window looked out to the backyard. The gate creaked open. "Mom?" I whispered, but I knew. Mommy never came through the backyard. Then, we heard a voice. "I see you up there." I gasped. Toby gasped. He yelled out, "We're calling the cops, you freak!" And we did. We called the police, and they came fast with their flashing lights. I felt a little safer. They said they'd stay nearby just in case. When Mommy got home, she was so scared too. She hugged me and said, "We're getting cameras tomorrow." And we did. Big, loud cameras with red blinking lights so even monsters could see them. I never walked alone at night again, not ever. We never found out who that man was. We never saw him again. But sometimes, when I look outside and the wind blows through the trees in Central Park, I think I hear it again. Step, step, step. Hi, my name is Mikey, and something terrible happened to me when I was really, really little. I was only 6 years old, just like you might be. I lived with my big brother Sam and my mom and dad in a house not far from Golden Gate Park in San Francisco. Back then, Sam and I shared a big bedroom upstairs. Mommy and Daddy's room was downstairs. We had bunk beds, and I always slept on the bottom one. Our bedtime was always the same. We had to be in bed by 8 o'clock, no matter what. Daddy was very strict about that. If we stayed up too late and got caught, oh boy, we were in trouble. But one night, I woke up. I didn't know why at first. Everything was dark and quiet. But then I felt someone shaking my shoulder. It was Sam. He was whispering really, really close to my face. "Mikey, wake up, listen." I sat up and rubbed my eyes. "What?" I whispered. "Why are you waking me up?" He didn't answer right away. He pointed at the door. "Just listen." So I listened. At first I heard nothing, but then I heard it. Miiki. A voice. It was a soft whisper. It sounded like it was coming from downstairs. My heart jumped. Is that Mom? I asked. Sam shook his head really fast. No, I don't think that's her. What do you mean? Of course it's her. I was mad at him. Stop trying to scare me. But Sam looked scared, like really scared. He pointed at the bedroom door. Go listen. Close. So I tiptoed across the room, all the way to the door. I pressed my ear against it, and then I heard it again, louder this time. Sam, Mikey, come down, sweeties. I smiled. See? That's her. That's Mom. But Sam grabbed my arm. No, it's not. I rolled my eyes and shook him off. I thought he was just being a weird big brother. I opened the bedroom door just a little. It creaked. Creak! Nothing there. But just outside our door was the little hallway. To the right, there was a white door that led to the stairway. That stairway went down to the living room where Mommy usually watched TV at night. The whisper was coming from down there. So I crept up to that stairway door and put my hand on the doorknob. Sam was behind me, whispering, "Don't do it! Close the door!" But I didn't listen. I turned the knob very slowly and pulled the door open. Just a crack. I peeked through. At the bottom of the stairs, standing in the dark, was a woman. She was standing so still it gave me chills. She looked like Mommy, same shape, same long hair. But something felt wrong. She looked up at me. She smiled. "Come down, sweetie," she said. "I've been waiting for you." I slammed the door shut and locked it. My hands were shaking. I ran back into the bedroom and slammed that door too. I locked it as fast as I could. Then I started crying. Sam held my hand. I told you! I told you that wasn't Mom!" I nodded and whispered, "What do we do?" We looked at each other and both shouted, "Mom! Dad!" We stomped and screamed and pounded on the floor. "Help! Help! There's a stranger in the house!" And then we heard footsteps running up the stairs. Thump, thump, thump. It was Daddy. He was mad. "Why is this door locked?" We unlocked it, and when he opened it, he saw my crying face. Mommy rushed in right behind him. "What happened?" she asked. We told her everything. The voice, the stairway, the lady. Mommy's face turned pale. She said, "I wasn't calling you. I never went to the stairs." Then she asked, "What did the lady look like?" But Sam and I didn't know. She was just standing there, smiling. Daddy ran downstairs. He searched the whole house. We waited in the bedroom, holding each other's hands. Then, we heard it. Ding dong, the doorbell. We peeked out the window. A police car was outside. We wanted to go downstairs and ask questions. We begged Mommy and Daddy to tell us who it was. But they never did. Even when I grew up and asked again, they just said, "We don't know, just some stranger." Maybe. But I don't believe that. Because that lady, whoever she was, knew our names. And I still wonder, even now, who was she? How did she get in? And why was she calling for us in the dark? Last summer, I took a long car ride from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, to visit some friends in Austin, Texas. I was happy and tired when it was time to go home. On my way back, I got a message from someone I hadn't seen in a long time, my old friend Danny. He said he lived near San Marcos, which was on my way home. He told me to stop by and say hi. I said, "Okay." When I got to Danny's house, it looked old. It had a squeaky wooden porch that went creak when I stepped on it. The house smelled like old wood and dust, kind of like my grandpa's old cabin. But Danny gave me a big hug, and I felt okay again. Inside, everything was old too. The couch was squishy and funny, and the floors made little squeaks with every step. We talked and laughed and ate chicken nuggets and watched cartoons. I got sleepy fast. Danny said, "You can sleep here, Charlie." "There's a spare room down the hall," I said, "Okay," and followed him to the room. It was very quiet. Too quiet. The air didn't move. It felt like nobody had been in that room for a long time. But I was so sleepy I didn't care. I climbed into the bed, pulled the blanket up to my chin and closed my eyes. But then, I woke up. It was dark. Very dark. The only light came from the moon shining through the window blinds. That's when I saw it. Something was in the corner. At first, I thought it was a coat. A big black coat hanging on the closet door. But then, I looked closer. It wasn't just a coat. It had shoulders. It was standing too still. Too still. It looked like a person. A tall, black, quiet person. My tummy felt funny. My heart went thump, thump, thump. I shut my eyes tight. "It's just a coat," I whispered. "Just a coat." I rolled over and tried to sleep. I didn't want to look anymore. But then, I heard something. Creak! It sounded like someone walking very slowly on the wooden floor. Like they were trying not to wake me. My eyes popped open. I looked back at the corner. The coat was gone. I sat up fast. My head felt spinny and weird. My heart was beating so loud I thought Danny might hear it. I looked all over the room. Nothing. The closet was closed. The corner was empty. "Where did it go?" I whispered. I jumped out of bed and ran down the hall. I opened Danny's door and shook his shoulder. "Danny! Danny! The coat is gone!" "Huh? What coat?" Danny said, rubbing his eyes. "The black coat. The one in the corner of the room. It looked like a person." Danny sat up and blinked at me. "I don't own a black coat, Charlie, and I don't have a coat rack in that room." My tummy felt like it was full of rocks. "Come look," I said. Danny followed me back to the room. I pointed to the corner. It was right there, but nothing was there now, just shadows and the closed closet door. Danny scratched his head. "Maybe you had a dream." "I didn't," I yelled. "I saw it. ITSAWMETOO. The house was super quiet, too quiet. I could feel something. Something bad had been in that room, and it was watching." Danny said, "Let's check the house." We looked in the closets, under the beds, behind the doors. Nothing. No coat, no person, no anything. Danny tried to smile. "See? Nothing. You're safe, Charlie." But I didn't feel safe. As soon as the sun came up, I got in my car and said goodbye to Danny. I drove home, but I couldn't stop thinking about that shape in the corner. That thing that looked like a coat, but wasn't. It was standing there. It was quiet. It was waiting. And when I woke up again, it was gone. I don't know what it was, but sometimes when I go to bed and the lights are off, I look in the corners of my room, and I wonder, is it back? One day, I went on a big trip with my mommy, daddy, and my best friend Lila. We were driving to a place called Uppsala in Sweden to visit a theme park. It was supposed to be super fun, with roller coasters and candy and everything. But before the fun, something really, really scary happened. We drove and drove and drove for a long, long time. Mommy said we'd sleep in a tent near the theme park. But when we got there, Daddy said, "Oh no, the campsite is full." There was a big soccer game happening, and all the places to sleep were taken. So, we had no place to stay. We looked and looked. Then Daddy said, "Let's camp in the forest." He found a tiny place to park near a nature trail. There were trees everywhere. It was very quiet. Too quiet. We saw a lady walking her dog, and Daddy asked if we could camp there. She smiled and said, "Yes, it's okay." So we stayed. But I wish we didn't. We got out our tents. Mommy and Daddy had one. Me and Lila had the other. We laughed and played and watched funny videos in our tent. It felt safe. It felt like an adventure. But then, it got dark. We heard a crunch in the gravel. Then, clang. A loud metal noise. We both sat up. "What was that?" Lila whispered. "It sounded like a shovel," I said. Like someone dropped it, then picked it up again. We heard it again. Clang, thump. Then the sound of a trunk slamming shut. We were too scared to look out the window. Then the car, we didn't even see it come, sped off. Vroom! Lila grabbed my hand. "Was that the creepy old car we saw when we got here?" she whispered. I nodded. It was right over there, all alone. I texted my friend Oliver, who lives in Uppsala. I said, "We're in the woods near the beach." He messaged back, "Get out of there. That place is not safe. Bad people go there. Really bad." My tummy turned to ice. Suddenly, the forest screamed. "Ah!" A man screamed from deep in the trees. It was the loudest, most horrible scream I ever heard in my whole life. We froze. Our hands were shaking. I texted Mommy. "Did you hear the scream?" No reply. I called her. She finally answered, sleepy. "What scream?" she said. I told her what we heard. She said, "Maybe it was nothing." But I knew it wasn't nothing. Then, crunch, 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 footsteps. Someone was walking, right outside our tent. The footsteps were slow and sneaky. They circled our tent, then went to Mommy and Daddy's tent, then walked around our car, sniffing, listening, breathing. Lila and I held our breath. We didn't move. Then headlights. The car came back. It stopped, right next to our tent. I peeked through the tiny tent hole. The car door opened. Then, it slammed shut. And then, vroom! The car raced off again. My heart beat so loud I thought the person would hear it. Then, just a few minutes later, red and blue lights. A police car came. It zoomed down the same road, chasing the other car. I didn't sleep. We sat in the car with the doors locked. I watched the trees until the sun came up. Lila fell asleep in my lap. At 6 in the morning, I told Mommy and Daddy everything. Mommy's face got pale. She said, "I heard the footsteps too, and breathing, right by our tent." My daddy slept through it all. Mommy said the breathing was like in a scary movie. We packed up and got out of there fast. Later that night, I looked up the forest on the computer. What I found made me freeze. A man was killed there, stabbed in the woods, and 2 other men had gone missing near that same beach. Never found. I asked myself, who was in the forest with us that night? Who screamed so loud from the trees? And what was that shovel for, in the dark? Maybe the person was hiding something. Maybe they were looking for someone. Maybe they saw us. I don't think I'll ever go camping again.